আজকে আমরা একটা খুব সুন্দর বিষয় নিয়ে লাইভ করব, বাট লাইভটা উইল বি ইন ইংলিশ, অর্থাৎ আমি পড়ে উইকিপিডিয়া থেকে পড়ে পড়ে শোনাবো মোহাম্মদ আলী জিন্নাহ কিভাবে মারা গেল, হাউ মোহাম্মদ আলী জিন্নাহ ডাইড অ্যান্ড হোয়াট ডিড হি ডাই অফ, দ্যাট মিন্স হুইচ ডিজিজ হি ডাই অফ, and Jinnah died of very easy and simple disease, tuberculosis or consumption. Okay, without wasting our time, let's go back to how Jinnah died. Illness and death is the topic now. From the 1930s, Jinnah suffered from tuberculosis. Only his sister and a few of his others close to him were aware of his condition. Jinnah believed public knowledge of his lung ailments would hurt him politically. In 1938 later, he wrote to a supporter that you must have during my tours I suffered, which was not because there was anything wrong with me, but the irregularities of the schedule and overstrain told upon my health. Many years later, Mountbatten stated that if he had known Jinnah was so physically ill, he would have stalled, hoping Jinnah's death would avert her. Fatima Jinnah later wrote, even in his hour of triumph, the quaid-e-azam was gravely ill. He worked in a frenzy to consolidate Pakistan, and of course he totally neglected his health. Jinnah was a heavy smoker who worked with a tin of Craven A cigarettes at his desk, of which he had smoked 50 or more a day for the previous 30 years, as well as a box of Cuban cigars. As his health got worse, he took longer and longer breaks in the private wing of Government House in Karachi, where only he, Fatima, and the servants were allowed. In June 1948, he and Fatima flew to Quetta in the mountains of Balochistan, where the weather was cooler than in Karachi. He could not completely rest there, addressing the officers at the command and staff college, saying, "You, along with the other forces of Pakistan, are the custodians of the life, property, and honor of the people of Pakistan." He returned to Karachi for the 1 July opening ceremony for the State Bank of Pakistan, at which he spoke. A reception by the Canadian Trade Commissioner that evening in honor of Canada's Dominion Day was the last public event he attended. On 6 July 1948, Jinnah returned to Quetta, but at the advice of doctors, soon journeyed to an even higher retreat at Ziyad. Jinnah had always been reluctant to undergo medical treatment, but realizing his condition was getting worse, the Pakistani government sent the best doctors it could find to treat him. Tests confirmed tuberculosis and also showed evidence of advanced lung cancer. He was treated with the new miracle drug of streptomycin, but it did not help Mr. Jinnah. Jinnah's condition continued to deteriorate despite the ill prayers of his people. He was moved to the lower altitudes of Quetta on 13 August, the eve of the Independence Day, for which a ghost-written statement for him was released. Despite an increase in appetite, he then weighed just over 36 kilograms or 79 pounds. It was clear to his doctors that he was to return to Karachi in life. He would have to do so very soon. Jinnah, however, was reluctant to go, not wishing his aides to see him as an invalid on a stretcher. By 9 September, Jinnah had also developed pneumonia. Doctors asked him to return to Karachi, where he could receive better care. And with his agreement, he was flown there on the morning of 11 September. Dr. Ilahi Box, his personal physician, believed that Jinnah's change of mind was caused by foreknowledge of death. The plane landed at Karachi that afternoon to be met by Jinnah's limousine, and an ambulance into which Jinnah's stretcher was placed. The ambulance broke down on the road into town. and the Governor General and those with him waited for another to arrive. He could not be placed in the car as he could not sit up. They waited by the roadside in oppressive heat as trucks and buses passed by, unsuitable for transporting the dying man, and with their occupants not knowing of Jinnah's presence. After an hour, the replacement ambulance came and transported Jinnah to Government House. Arriving there over 2 hours after the landing, Jinnah died later that night at 10:20 p.m. at his home in Karachi on 11 September 1948 at the age of 71, just over a year after Pakistan's creation. Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru stated upon Jinnah's death, "How shall we judge him? I have been very angry with him often during the past years, but now there is no bitterness in my thought of him, only a great sadness for all that has been. He succeeded in his quest and gained his objectives, but at what a cost and with what a difference from what he had imagined." Jinnah was buried on 12 September 1948 among official mourning in Pakistan. A million gathered A million people gathered for his funeral led by Sabir Ahmed Usmani. Today, Jinnah rests in a large marble mausoleum, Mazar-e-Qaid in Karachi. I hope you have enjoyed about the illness and death of Jinnah, that Jinnah suffered from tuberculosis, and this tuberculosis ultimately metastasizes to lung cancer, and at the last stage, at the 11th hour, he also developed pneumonia. All of the three uh, complications of disease led him to die on 11th September, and he was buried on 12th September. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'd like to thank you. Bye bye. Thank you once again.